Alright, this video is for you and the rest of the world. This is a quick tip on how to make your Canon 7D produce video that doesn't look about as good as your webcam. You want it to be a little bit more in your webcam since it does cost a little more. Alright, so first thing, I'm mainly going to talk about people who use it on tripods. But this information, most of it is for handheld as well. Okay, first thing, if you're going to shoot movies with this thing, you got two switches here on the side of the lens. Usually if you got a Canon lens, you may not have it if you've got another lens, but stabilizer and autofocus. Most of them you will have autofocus, you may not have the stabilizer one. These for movie making should be in the off position. The stabilizer, if you move or pan, the stabilizer is trying to catch up and keep it in position, and it has to jump every once in a while, so it makes it jumpy. So handheld, there's a tip for you. Turn that off. Autofocus, movie making, you got to do it manual. If you put it on a tripod and you're going to be sitting at a chair, usually what I do is I got another tripod that I put a grid on, and then I can focus and line up on that grid. It also gives you a beep when it's in focus. When you hold the button kind of halfway down and you're looking at the target, it'll give you a beep if you've got your focus where the center part, which I change. Usually it's like a big center part of the screen is your focus point. I've narrowed it down to just like one point in the center, so I want to beam in on what I want to focus, and then hold down this halfway and then turn the focus until it beeps, and then I know I'm in focus. Now if you're going to be sitting down talking or whatever, even handheld, one thing you got to know, and might as well jump right into it now, is shooting video. The best thing is you want to shoot in manual. Okay, you don't want, number one, you don't want your aperture or your speed setting changing automatically. You definitely don't want your speed setting changing, because if you're shooting at 30 feet per second and it's low light and it drops below 1/30th of a second on the shutter speed, you're going to have flickering. So I usually set mine about 1/50 to 1/60th in low light conditions, and then adjust the aperture down accordingly, or the ISO. I prefer to have kind of like a low f-stop. Like right now I got it on 2.8. Alright, it's gonna go off because it says I'm not doing nothing with it. But I like to keep mine on 2.8. But here's the thing. If you're going to be sitting down or you're going to be presenting to the camera, that f2.8, or if you've got a lens that goes down to 1.4, that area of focus, the depth of field, same thing as area of focus, is going to be really short. 2.8, it's like this, everything in here is in focus, everything out just starts to blur. So if you're sitting down and you're going in and out, or you're getting up or whatever, you got to realize what your focus area is going to be. If you don't have enough light where you have to bring down the f-stop, then it's better to either increase the light where you can get a higher f-stop, like let's say 5, 6, 8. Even if you can get it up to 22, then it becomes more like a regular video camera, and you don't get that depth of field. Everything is in focus. Once you get it focused manually, then more area in the front and the back will be in focus. I keep mine on auto ISO. So there's 3 ways to change your exposure. 3 basic ways, and that's your aperture, your f-stop. A lower number is a higher, is a bigger opening apparatus. If you're a photographer, you know that. And then a higher number is a smaller. It's like reverse of what you would think it would be. So like a f/22 is a smaller aperture and lets in uh, less light, but gives you a bigger focus range or a greater depth of field. The other one is your shutter speed, which you shouldn't be changing. Just set that up for, like I said, whatever conditions are above. I like to do at least 2 times the frames per second that I'm shooting at. And then the third is the ISO. The lower ISO you got is for brighter light conditions, and the higher ISO is for, of course, your low light conditions. You get up around 6400, and you're talking, you know, night scenes where it's pretty low, pretty low light. You can leave that on automatic, and the way you do the automatic ISO is you see these 3 buttons across the top. I'm talking these. Not this one. This one's pretty simple. Most people get this one. It's the backlight of the LCD screen here. But you got each one of these 3 buttons has got 2 things beside it. You press it once to get the first one. You press it again to get the second option. So to change your ISO, you would hit this button, which says ISO dot flash plus or minus. So if I hit it once, I'm going to be able to set my ISO here. And I believe it was this button back here. Well, where is it now? Okay. Okay. It's the top wheel where you set your ISO where you want it. Most of the time I keep mine on auto and I let the camera pick it. Depends on the situation. If you're just doing blogging, you might want to keep it on auto. But a better effect really is set it to where your exposure is where you want it, and then it won't be, you know, lightening up or closing down on you. It'll be a more, I guess, natural type of light exposure. But keep it on auto. It's not that much bigger deal. Okay, once again, you check your exposure by pressing your shutter button halfway down, and then see the bar graph. See that? Now the dot came up. So if I change something, dot went away, I gotta hit it again. See, if I change something, my ISO is changing to always keep the exposure right at 0. If I had a steady ISO and I changed my f-stop, for example, then you know, the exposure would change. So that's what I do there. And another setting, and you can get to these settings by the quickest way is by pushing this Q button, and then using this little joystick to get to places you want to go. So, you know, it's not the best joystick in the world. So, and then when you get to a place like the style button, you maybe push this one. Okay, and then you can choose your style. I've got a style set up. It's on position 1 for movie shooting. It just was what one of the gurus suggested, and then, you know, you turn your saturation down, your contrast down to give it a film look for movie making. But you know, you can use portrait, makes you a little rosier, landscape, whatever. You can mess around with those different styles. that's the main things for you know, shooting video. Here's how you put it in manual. This dial. See, I got mine on M, and I shoot all video on manual. I don't hardly ever do the automatic. I never say I never do anything because I always do something sometime or another, but mostly that's what I do. Let's see, what else can I tell you? That's it. Just put your grid up, focus it on it, have a high f-stop, like you know, 8 or above, so you can be in focus while you're sitting at your desk blogging or whatever. It helps to have more light. Even though this is a very low light sensitive camera, it still helps to have light. Makes things look a little better, brings out the colors. And that's all I got. Bye-bye.